It's easy to feel by the time you hit your midlife years that you've spent most of your life looking after other people, be it your boss's needs in the workplace, be it your family, your children, your husband, maybe looking after aged parents, whatever else that you put your hand to. But often in doing it, we can find that we lose our voices. And today's guest is going to encourage you to find your voice again, clear and full of purpose, so that you can truly speak your truth and make a difference in the lives of others as you move into your next season. Welcome back to another episode of the Rocking Midlife Podcast. And as I say always, I am absolutely thrilled to be bringing an amazing guest in today who's just going to blow you away with not only her own midlife reinvention, but how she helps other women find their voices and build their businesses. So coming in all the way from Texas, we have Antoinette Roze today. So welcome.
Thank you for having me, Kat. I'm a big fan of the Rocking Midlife Podcast and love the work that you're doing. So I'm thrilled to be here.
Oh, thank you. Well, I'm so excited to have you because I know that you're really going to spark some fires, I think, in women who have potentially been hiding their voices and hiding away. So this is a good one to tune into today. So seriously, go grab a cuppa and let me tell you just a little bit about Antoinette, and then I'm just going to let her go for it. So we're going to be talking a little bit about the business side of speaking, particularly in relationship to midlifers wanting to create, and this is in her words, which are just fabulous, a more authentic and impactful second act in their career. Now, we talk about second acts all the time, and I love that we're going to focus particularly on career today. So a little bit about her. She is a dynamic business and speaking strategist, and she is the CEO of the WPC Speakers Global Agency. But what I love most is the fact that she reinvented herself and her company after the age of 50. And she's now dedicated to helping other midlife women to reimagine their futures, amplify their voices, and feel valued during this transformative phase of life. So I don't know about you. I'm so excited to hear more. So please, Antoinette, please tell us a little bit about yourself. How did you get to this point? And tell us more about what you do.
Yeah, thank you, Kat. So as you mentioned earlier, is absolutely true. I completely reinvented myself in midlife, right? And so at a very young age, I'll step back just a moment. At a very young age, they found that I had advanced terminal cancer. Definitely was not supposed to make it, but after 2 years of some pretty crazy outside of the box therapies, I made it. But during that 2 years, I was hundreds of miles away from my family most of that time at a cutting edge hospital. And the kids in my ward, many of them were considered to be the lucky ones. Their cancers or situations were caught in time to get the more mainstream therapies. While I went through that, I saw that horror that they were going through, and I didn't have to go through. And I remember thinking, of course, I didn't know all the semantics or politics or anything along those lines at that age. All I knew is I was supposed to be the unlucky one. I was able to swallow. I didn't have welts all over me. My gums weren't in pain. I wasn't losing my hair. I didn't look like a big, blueberry. It was just very, very difficult. We all came in looking like kids. And then in short order after their therapies began, I saw what they went through. And you're away from the comforts of the people that they had become my family during that time. And I remember thinking, why weren't their parents told maybe there were some other things they could try before putting that?
Yeah.
And I carried that with me. So I got to leave the hospital through a set of beautiful miracles and so grateful, right? And I remember being wheeled out to the sunshine because we didn't get a lot of sunshine during that time. Number one, we were in an area where it was a very cloudy area anyway, typically. But I remember just feeling that sun on my face and just thinking, I get to experience this. I get to step into the rest of my life. And many of these kids that had grown to be my family didn't get to do that. So I kind of made a secret vow within myself that whatever I did with my life, it was going to be geared towards making sure people had information when they needed it, all the information. Doesn't matter whether you agree with it, they agree with it, whatever. Just give me it all. Let me put it on the table, decide what's best for me. Right. So I made that kind of internal vow at a young age. I didn't know what I was going to do with it. And as I went to college and started growing up, I took the path of business and computer information systems, which at that time it was like / dots,
Yes.
or just to turn on the computer. So
Yeah.
way back in the 80s, and PR and marketing, right?
Mhm.
So that was my thing. I knew I didn't want to go into the medical field, but I still wanted to make a difference when it came to people and their decisions, especially when the decisions had to do with their vibrancy and their well-being. So I set off in my life. I got into publishing right out of college. Then I went into event production, where I stayed for about 18 years. And then I shifted to, instead of putting speakers on my stages, which were very large stages, conference level stages, to putting them on other people's stages, because I felt like I had a bigger reach there. And that was the big midlife shift,
Yeah.
going from what I knew in the event space to then taking on speakers' careers into my own hands. And I did that for a few reasons. My beautiful Italian spunky mama, her health was in decline. And
Yeah.
so I moved her from California to Texas to be with us. At the time, we had a retreat center, two retreat centers, and a bed and breakfast. Closed
Goodness
out.
me.
It
You've
was
hands full, didn't you?
Yeah, we had a lot going on.
Goodness.
So I had to make some hard choices. And
Mhm.
one of them was to putting on events of that size were extremely demanding. So
Yeah.
that was part of the big shift. My personal vibrancy, I thought I was a pretty good girl. Like, these events were in the natural wellness space. I was all about well-being. Of course, having gone through cancer
Yeah.
at a very young age, I was in tune with taking care of myself. But when midlife hit, I got
Yeah.
no brownie girl points.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's hard. And I'm like, where are my brownie girl points? Like, it hit hard and long.
Yeah.
Started in 40s and didn't end to somewhere in the 50s, right?
Yeah. It can be a sucker punch, can't it? Just out of the blue.
It was no fun. And like,
Yeah.
it's not funny. It does seem like, oh, you get a little hot. No, it is just not funny. There's in so many ways.
Yeah.
So I had to make some choices, and bringing on my mom was a big deal. Of course, we had the retreat centers, the bed and breakfast. We had a big paint contracting company that we owned. And then I had the wellness productions company. So just needed
Goodness
to
me.
consolidate, reshift. And in doing that, I decided at that point, it wasn't going to be for income.
Mhm.
The income was going to follow the passion and the alignment. At the same time, our grand beauty count was rising. I think we're up to 12, 13. I got to sit down and write them all out. But at that point, our grand beauty count was rising. I wanted certain freedoms. So it was getting spread out, to not only to take care of my mom, but retire my husband, who's 11 years older than me,
Mhm.
to have the freedoms to be able to not be regional based, but be
Yes.
able to get out.
Yeah.
And so for those reasons, in my late 40s, I just completely reinvented my career. Super scary, because I was very successful.
Mhm.
And now I had the added stress of caring for my mom and retiring my husband. So it just felt like a lot, all while in menopause.
They're huge, but I love how you went about it absolutely not dispassionately. Oh my gosh, I'm listening badly. I can't even say it. This is what happens when you've been a professional musician
hear
for
you.
many years. My saxophone list still comes in many a time. But yeah, I love how you sat down and you did it weighing up, right, this is what the goals are, this is what I want to achieve, this is where I'm at now. And you took that time to do that process, because many of us, we kind of just mack into menopause and we're floundering because so much is happening. Like you said, there is so much going on with our bodies, let alone anything else, that often our decision making is out of crisis. Whereas you sat down and actually we're a little bit analytical about it. And I think that's a really, really cool thing to do.
Thank you for saying that, because that was a big part of it, Kat.
Yeah.
And I didn't go straight there.
Yeah.
I circled the mountain a few times before I got there. And it was at that time during the transition, I was taking every workshop I could take. I was hiring very high-end consultants, which I don't begrudge any of that. But honestly, that's a lot of other people's ideas
Yeah, that's
about
right.
their life. And I got to the point where I had so much brilliance poured into me that it was
Yes.
like mixing too many colors together. You just get gray,
Yeah.
right? There's nothing there. I have felt lost, completely lost.
Wow. Yep.
So even though I had some good investments out there, I decided to basically forfeit and push everything aside and get back into my own, hear myself again, right?
I love
Get
that. Yeah.
quiet.
That's
Who is
powerful.
Antoinette Roze? What does Antoinette want? Not for today, but I want to build the mansion I actually want to live in. I had built some pretty great mansions, right?
Yeah.
Of a life. You build your empires, but sometimes you just build a job for yourself. Do you really
Yes.
want
Yes.
the job? Like, I wanted to do this very intentionally for my second act, because in your 20s, you've got all the time in the world, right?
Absolutely. Yes. Yes. It's like, oh, well, if it doesn't work, not a problem.
You just go another direction, right?
Yeah. But
I
then
knew I wanted this one to be the one where
Yes.
I was really building the kind of life that I wanted. So just got really super quiet. As a speaker agent, people send me their books all the time. And to be quite honest, most of the time I'll read the back and I'll just kind of flip through. And every now and then there's ones that really capture my attention. And there was this one, and I really need to have it right here, but it's in my little prayer corner. Because it was a really great book it's kind of a workbook where you just look at yourself
Yeah.
and look at what you want in life. What do I want? And what do I want to build from all of these beautiful puzzle pieces that I had accumulated in my life? I had some golden puzzle pieces, right? But how did I want to put that together, and what kind of ramp did I want to build, and in what direction? And so that's what led me to creating an agency, which I absolutely love. And I feel like I've got a model like none other, because I looked at the different angles of my career in publishing and in production. And now I was really able to hone in on what I know speakers really need. So when you remove yourself and get quiet, you get to see what your value propositions really are, what does make you different, because your life experiences and professional experiences culminate into this beautiful recipe that nobody else has, but you got to be able to see the recipe. So that's basically was the turning point for me.
Oh, that's fantastic. You know, I write about it in one of my books, and I've got a little product out called Your Life Audit. And it kind of is similar to what you're saying, where you sit and you just audit your life. You go through, am I happy with this? Is this something I want to change? Is this something I want to take into the next season? Is this something I'm leaving behind now? And it's just a way of, working through the different areas in your life and being intentional about it. Just like what you said, I think there's so much to be said about getting away from the noise, because noise is with us all the time, isn't it? You're scrolling, or you're like me, you're a bit of a research junkie. So you're always looking to what other people are saying or writing or speaking or got out on YouTube or listening to coaches. And at some point, you've actually got to turn that off, don't you? And listen to what's your heart saying.
Absolutely. So often you hear people say, find your voice, find your voice. You don't need to find your voice.
Yes.
You just need to unbury your voice.
That's so true, isn't it? It's like you've got to actually hear your voice again.
That's where it all starts. So whether you actually decide you're going to utilize that voice to pass the torch, to pass your curated knowledge, because in midlife, you've got this beautiful tapestry of a life with a career. Even if your career was being a homemaker, that is a career, right? Whatever path you took, there's this beautiful tapestry. How can that help others? And you can't really know by following somebody else's formula or by following somebody else's program. Great, noted. That's a great set of things for me to know. but I'm not going to try to fit who Antoinette Roze is, maybe a circle into your square peg. And it's never going to fit quite right. It's never going to build what I really want to build. And so, exactly to your point, Kat, we really need to uncover that beautiful human being that you already are and start speaking. So it's basically start singing your own song. Stop dancing to other people's music, dancing to other,
Yes.
like dance to your own song.
That is just beautiful. So beautiful and so appropriate for people at midlife, especially, isn't it? Because many of them have built careers working for somebody else or have reached as far as they can reach in that career or have lost their passion for that particular field and taking the time to now evaluate and listen to yourself and what your heart's saying for this next season. It can just be absolutely life-changing. Well, it was in your case, wasn't it? You changed so much. Do you see this happening with many of your other speakers who either work with you or who you meet at conferences, particularly the midlife ones? Are you sensing that they're coming out and speaking has evolved from similar sort of changes in their lives?
Absolutely. So once your voice really starts to take form within you, you almost can't help but want to utilize that. And different people utilize it differently. They could become consultants, or they write a book, or they start a podcast, or they become a corporate trainer, or even a keynote speaker. Even if, let's say, you're a doctor, and I do represent several doctors, they always worked for another organization, right? A
Yeah.
clinic or a hospital, but they still have developed their approaches, right? Their ways of dealing with certain situations. You get to a point where you've earned the right to step back from the day to day, whether it's your own business or somebody else's business, but step back from the day to day and be able to actually start offering what you have to offer to the greater good. And there's number one, a lot of whether or not you become a keynote speaker, there's several different ways to get your voice out there without having to stand on Staples Stadium, which might scare the bleep
Yeah.
out of some people. But the idea is that, okay, you have spent this portion of your life gathering information, right, as you were growing your life and growing your career. And now there are a lot of people who can benefit from that. So what is your value proposition? What are some things that you've discovered that could be of great value to other people? Let's package that. And when people step into that second act that you've earned, they find prosperity like they've never found before. They find fulfillment like they've
Yeah.
not experienced in this way before. Different seasons of our lives are very fulfilling. Having a child, like getting married for the first time, all the different things, excelling in your career. But this is next level. This is just a different way of finding a different level of fulfillment where you're actually coming into your own. I hear a lot of people say, my life really started at 40 or my life
Yeah.
really started at 50. It's because the awkwardness is gone, right? But a lot of times we really don't care so much about what other people think like we used to. And we've started owning ourselves, and we have a better understanding of who we actually are. And that translates from any stage, again, whether your stage is is in the written word or in the spoken word. That is so valuable, not only for your lifestyle, because I personally believe that the speaker life is one of the best, incredible lifestyles that you can have, but also in stepping you out of the grind and into a more exciting way of working that is also very profitable done the right way. So not everybody is going to want to be a speaker, but I do want to encourage everyone in midlife to find that voice. I just
That's
said what I
wise.
wasn't going to say, but share your voice.
Yeah.
Share your voice and begin packaging it in a way that's going to be a legacy piece, if not for the world, at the very least for your own family.
Yes.
I know that even my great grandmother, I know so little about how much she could have taught me had she written down some things or in a little tape recorder,
Hmm.
spoken some things, whatever, painted something, whatever that she could have done to leave a part of her journey with me so that I could pick it up and learn from it, right?
You're seriously talking my language. I talked a little while ago on an earlier episode about why I think everyone over 40 should have a YouTube channel. And it wasn't about being a star like on TikTok or anything like that. The big thing for me was actually as a legacy project. So you can be documenting the things that you want to share with your family. So your grandchildren can watch your channel one day. And that was my great grandma reading me my favorite storybook or whatever it is. And yeah, I think when people could get away from thinking that speaking is just about standing on a stage, like you said, then it can actually apply to so many different areas. Then we realize what a powerful tool that we have to create a legacy and pass our legacy on to our own family and community, if not the greater world.
We are living in an incredible time. There's no excuses,
Yeah.
right? There's just no, we have so much at our disposal. It can, again, listen to yourself. What do you love doing? Are you somebody who loves to write? Do you love to journal? Do you love to speak? Do you love to sing? Do you love to paint? There's so many different modalities at our
Yes.
disposal. Everything at our fingertips to make that thing happen. I'll share a really quick story since you brought it up, Kat. I got a call from my daughter-in-law, who we're really close, but she knows during the day I'm in meetings, I'm in front of people. So the fact that she was calling me during studio hours alarmed me, obviously. So I put whoever I was speaking with on hold because I thought something must be up. Right. And so I answered and she said, I just have to tell you this. She brought tears to my eyes. She said, Ira, my 7-year-old granddaughter, accidentally discovered me on Spotify. She's walking in the house, listening to me, just so proud of her Nona. That's me.
Yeah, I'm a nonna too.
I love this season of life.
Yes.
And ever since she's been listening to me on Spotify, she discovered me now, from there.
Oh, how
Discovered me on
wonderful.
YouTube. And so she gets to see her grandmother. Obviously, she's not a speaker. Right?
Yeah.
She's not my audience, but I'm in some way inspiring her
Yeah.
to maybe step out of her own comfort zones. I'm very much an introvert in real life.
Me too. Me too.
I'm married to a massive extrovert. So we go to the grocery store and I'm just like, please don't talk. I just need to get my thing.
Yeah.
And my husband is best friends with everybody in the store by the time we walk out. And it's just like, oh my goodness. And when it comes to introvert and extrovert, I hear this from would-be speakers so often that, oh, I'm an introvert. I could never do that. That's a misnomer.
Sure is. Mm-hmm.
You have what you have. You have gifts and solutions and strategies that there are literally people laying awake at night praying to discover. You've got them. You withhold your voice. You withhold that solution package for them because your voice is the voice for whatever reason that they would be able to we can hear something 100 times, but when it comes from the right direction.
Yes. It'll suddenly land, won't it? Yeah.
Yes. So that's the difference between an extrovert and an introvert. An introvert gets refueled alone, right? In our own little corners of the world where you need that space.
You do that talk and you go away on your own for a while and just recharge.
Curl up in a ball for a day and then you're
that's exactly right.
Whereas somebody like my husband, an extrovert, he gets energized.
It will be at the after show.
And I'm just like, babe, I'll meet you in the car.
Yes, we've done that many a time. Isn't that funny?
That's the introvert extrovert. Never allow that to be your excuse to not get your voice out there. When it becomes about that one person whose life you can transform with your solutions, your nerves go out the window. Because when was the last time you were helping someone and you were focused on yourself? You can't, it's impossible. You can't be focused on somebody else and be focused on yourself at the same time. It's going to be one or the other. And people can tell.
They can.
If you're on a stage or on an interview, let's just say we're on this interview and I'm going like this. I've interviewed many people like this on my show, Speak Packed, PSTT. when they're going like this or even
Yeah.
like this, they're self-soothing.
Mm-hmm.
They're thinking about themselves. There's nothing wrong with comforting yourself. But if I'm here to really give what I have to your audience, I'm thinking about them. There's
Yeah.
no self-soothing needed because I'm not thinking about myself.
It's
I'm
not
thinking
about
about
you. And for people who are listening to this show and not watch it on YouTube, Antoinette was literally just rocking from side to side there, just showing how some people rock and sway and hold themselves while they speak. So, yeah, that gives you the visual of what she's talking about. And I know exactly what you mean because I've seen many people do that as well. I'd love to touch on one little thing. We're kind of talking around it. Mindset. What about the person? I'm thinking of the women that I know who I've talked to over the years and myself as well, who think, yeah, but who am I to think that I've got anything to give to the world? Who am I to think that my voice matters? And why would I bother? Isn't that hard work? And how much of mindset is part of this transformation, this reinvention into this wonderful second act?
So is it mindset or is it focus? Who
Mm.
am I focusing on? And who am I? What do I have? What can I do? Like, who am I focusing on when I'm saying those things? It is mindset, but it's your mind focused really in what I would argue to be, what I would challenge to be the wrong direction,
Yeah.
right? If you have lived a life and you survived it, you have what other people need. You've got it.
Oh, that's good.
So
Yeah.
if you were to hold that back, you're holding back a value from other people. So when you start thinking about those people who are out there who are where you were maybe 5 years ago, if you only had these few pieces of information, how much better it could have made your journey. If you think along those lines, then there is no argument between, oh, woe is me. What do I have to offer to this world? Snap out of it.
Yeah.
I love that scene on Moonstruck where she slaps him in the face. Slaps, where Shiver slaps Nicholas
Maximum.
Cage.
Yeah.
Snap out of it. Do that to yourself. Go to the mirror, snap out of it.
Yeah.
Because you have value that people need. You may not know what that is right now. It doesn't mean that it's not there. And that goes back to get your book, right? I love the name of your book, even just audit your life.
Yeah.
So to a fifth grader, a sixth grader is king. You don't need to be a PhD. You don't need to be miles ahead of the person that you're going to help and influence. You just need to be a step or two ahead, right? And you've already stepped through your journeys. And
Mhm.
we all have had big things happen in our lives, and we've had everyday things happen in our lives that shape us, that can be of real value to those who haven't stepped into that quite yet.
Oh, that's so powerful. And wow, we speak the same language. So much of what you say are things that I say too. I love it. Right. I'm going to put you on the spot just to sum up. You have 3 practical steps. Now, we've probably already touched on them already, but for the person who's going, okay, I'm in my 40s, I'm in my 50s, or maybe my early 60s. I've been holding off. I want to change. I know I'm dissatisfied. I know, things feel a bit awkward. What are 3 practical steps that you would say to them if they're in that place now thinking, yeah, I don't think I'm actually satisfied with where I am now in my life. And I love the concept of reinvention, but all sounds a bit scary. 3 things that you would recommend.
Beautiful question. So I would like to actually give a challenge to your listeners for 1 week. We can do this. For 1 week, we can do this. I'd like for you to get up every morning before you start your day, before you turn on the news, for goodness sake, especially if you're in the US right now.
Oh, yes. We're watching it too.
The election. And ask yourself 3 questions. Don't answer. Just ask the questions and go about your day. So let's say the first question might be, how do I earn an extra $7,000 per month? How do I? Just leave the question out there. Why don't I feel happy? When will I feel joy again? Let's just say those are your questions. Whatever your 3 questions are, write them down every single morning. And if they happen to be the same questions, the next morning, your body's still working it out. So don't overthink. Just quickly write them down. And then if you then go on to if you journal or pray or do whatever else you do or work out, go on to your thing. But start off right when you wake up during that beautiful 6 to 8 hour cleansing process that you had all night long. Ask the 3 questions you wake up with and go about your day. And I'll tell you, report back to Kat in a week from now after doing that.
Yeah, that's powerful.
Your body goes to work for you.
Yeah.
Your body wants the answers you've asked. And you may not be consciously out there trying to find the answers, which is a good thing because we usually find the wrong answers, right?
Yeah.
Just like if we're looking for a boyfriend or a husband, we generally find the wrong one.
Yes.
So it just happens organically. That's when it's right. That's the same with these answers. Your brain and your body feels like to save your life, it needs to find those answers for you. And it will put you in touch with the right people. It'll put you in touch with the right podcast. It just happens to pop up in your playlist. Try that for 1 week. And I would love to hear what you find. You can find me on LinkedIn or at my podcast, but definitely go to Kat and say, hey, I tried this for a week and this is what happened.
That is so powerful. Thank you so much. And people tuning in, please do let us know. Let us know what you find after doing it for a week or maybe 2 weeks. Oh, I love that exercise. I'm going to be doing it myself, by the way. You've challenged me as well. And you've actually just led me to my last question for you, which was, I'm going to put all your details up. So people, you'll be able to find all the details of where you can find Antoinette. But what is the main platform for them to find you on? Because you have a few platforms. What is your best one if they really want to get in touch?
Best one that is a portal to all the others is Speak Pact, which is my podcast landing page. That will lead you to have an interview with me. If you want to get on my roster, it'll lead you to the podcast. It'll lead you to my LinkedIn page, which is my favorite playground. All the things. You can find it all there.
Wonderful. Well, look, I think we could have gone for so much longer, but I think with that powerful challenge that you issued at the end, that's just the perfect place to wrap this up. And for listeners, just please take that challenge on board. Go do it this week. Write down those 3 questions every time you wake up in the morning and then just go about your day and let your subconscious percolate and start listening to what that voice is inside you. So much wisdom today. Thank you so much for joining us. It's been such a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you, Kat.
Please, everybody, make sure you leave a comment, you subscribe, share this episode out because you may have friends out there who are hiding, thinking, who am I? I haven't got a voice. You know who those people are. Share this episode out because it will encourage them to step out and share that wisdom that they have. And I will see you next week on the Rocking Midlife Podcast.